Women choose extreme ways of being to avoid the responsibility that comes with being balanced. So a woman will be so nice, so polite, so kind to everyone in hopes that people will view her in a way, in a better way, like they won't violate or disrespect her if she's super nice to them, right? Or women will be a complete bitch. Like you hear women say this a lot. Men love bitches. Men love bitches because bitches turn men on. It's spicy. It's feisty. Right? It's not that men are saying, oh my gosh, she's a bitch. I'm going to respect her because I'm afraid of her or I don't want her to unravel on me. No, they like that. Or it's off-putting and they're going to avoid you. The way men respect each other is not the same way they respect women. Because men don't respect women. Men are chivalrous to women. But if you gain the respect of a man, command the respect of a man, it's not going to be by way of you being a bitch. It's going to be by way of work ethic and you operating in the world in a way that men respect. Being a bitch is something women do. So they're not, you're not gaining any cool points with that. Right? So women will be either one or the other because to be who you are and have to enforce boundaries or check or correct people, it's harder to do that for women because women don't want to alienate people. They don't want to seem like they're like fake. Because if you're nice to a woman and then she does something you got to correct her, she'll think you're fake or you don't like her or you're mean. Right? So women, they don't want to deal with what comes with enforcing boundaries, with commanding respect, right? And so they choose one or the other. They're either super nice or a bitch, which both are going to give you results, right? Being nice doesn't guarantee that people are going to be nice to you. And oftentimes they're going to take advantage of you because you're so nice. Or they're going to disrespect you in covert ways, right? They're going to think that, oh, it's all right, she's nice, you could do that to her. And things like that cause you to feel violated. It chips away at your self-esteem. For someone to think that you will accept disrespect and violations because you're nice, because you don't put up a fight. And so, for women to avoid that, they go to the other extreme by being a bitch so that they can back people off before they even try to disrespect them, which that doesn't do that. It'll cause people to want to go after you more to see if they can break you. Right? Boundaries do that too. So you can have boundaries and don't allow certain things, but that makes people go that much harder to try to find a way to circumvent your barriers, your boundaries, right? So you have to develop social skills, interpersonal skills to deal with people, right, in a neutral way, right, in a respectful way. And when it's time to correct people or check people, put them in their place, you do it and not feel like you're compromised, not feel bad about it, because women feel bad about doing things like that. And if they don't, it's because they're a self-proclaimed bitch and they don't give a fuck. But you can't go through life like that. You can't be in professional settings acting like, I don't give a fuck, bitch, I'm this. You can't. That's not. Functioning adults in certain environments cannot act like that. You got to pay your bills, right? You have to build relationships with people, right? But women take extremes because they don't want to deal with the responsibility that comes with commanding respect and enforcing boundaries, right? And quite possibly being looked at as you're unapproachable or you're not a woman, you're not feminine. Because femininity and niceness is translated to people like you're supposed to allow things to happen to you. Someone said that to me today. Like, I wasn't really in the mood to joke with this person today. And it wasn't even that I wasn't in the mood. Sometimes you gotta switch up on people. You can't let people get too comfortable with you. And that's really what it was. And he goes, I don't like when you like this. I like when you're nice. No, you like when you feel comfortable around me and you feel like you don't have to, be mindful of what you say and do. Right? But I don't have a problem with people feeling that way about me. Because I want people to be uncomfortable around me. It's not my job to provide people comfort. My politeness, my light-hearted way of being, funny and all the things, that makes people comfortable, right? And I do that because it's me. See, I'm not going to turn into a bitch and a nasty person to back people off. I'm going to correct them when it needs to be corrected. And that's the uncomfortable part for women because they don't want to deal with. See, women know what women do to each other when we enforce boundaries amongst other women. We ostracize them. Women don't like to feel like they don't belong or they're not included. It's a very childlike way of being, right? And so the woman who's the adult, right, who doesn't allow certain things, or you can't talk to me this way, or all right, let's gather ourselves. Women don't like that because they feel mothered and they feel like, well, who are you to not allow me to do this to you? Women violate each other just as much as men violate women, possibly even more, because it's done in covert ways. Oh, you're my friend, so I just come over and take something from you because I want it. Right? Or I could just say something to you because I feel like it, you're my friend, and I'll fix your hair while I'm telling you that, telling you some disrespectful shit. See, women know what we do to each other. And so they don't want to feel that way. Right? And so they do things to not face it, right? Or to just try to stop it before it happens. But it's not in an upstanding way. It's in a covert way. I'm just going to be a bitch instead of just checking motherfuckers when they need to be checked. So women operate in a world from a place of fear. And so asserting themselves, having boundaries are foreign concepts to women. Many women think that they're asserting boundaries. Many of you are not. What you're doing is just avoiding the interaction. That's why you never really assert the boundaries. So you're either avoiding it by being nasty or being overly nice, hoping that that stops people from doing things to you. And so because women don't adult, women don't step into their womanhood and be who they are, feminine and free and all of the things that they are, and have to switch that off and say, hey, this is what it is. Women don't do that, so that muscle is not sharpened. So for me, this is me, right? I post thirst traps. I wear skirts. All of the things that should be normal for women is not really. So I do it, and it's like permission to men. They think that, because I look like this, that I am inviting something to them. So I had to learn how to still be myself and check men. Because what I was not going to do is not express my femininity in the way that I want to do it because of men that I wouldn't even be speaking to if it weren't for certain circumstances and being in proximity to them. I talk about this often. I will post thirst traps on my Instagram, and there will be men in my proximity sharing my videos, talking shit about me, I have a porn, I have OnlyFans, and it's all because of how I present myself. I get that. But I got to learn how to counter that. I got to learn how to protect myself from their advances and other bullshit, because I'm not going to not be who I am. Right? And so this is why I do things like remind men that they're poor and average. Most men are poor and average. Most men will die poor or on a fixed income, powerless. Right? Most of them cannot do for themselves what I do for myself. Right? So there are things that I've learned how to do to protect myself so that I can be myself. It's easy to cower and to present yourself in a way that minimizes people projecting onto you or, attacking you or things, right? But I don't do that. I've never done it, even before I was conscious of me not doing it. I was just myself. And because of that, people attacked me, men and women alike. Women and men that watch my videos, women and men that are in my proximity, that talk to me and are polite to me and praise me. And them motherfuckers was talking shit about me. Shit. Right? Some of them, they don't know I know the shit that they said about me. Right? It's because people are not used to seeing a woman look like a woman. And so for women to keep themselves safe, they don't do certain things. They don't wear certain things because they don't want done to them what they do to women like me and what men do to women like me. Right? And so I've developed certain things I do. I know it's like uncomfortable for people or even cringy. But I'm not going to allow people to do is make me feel uncomfortable for expressing myself how I want to express myself. So because your woman doesn't wear lipstick and only wears heels on her birthday and you feel like, something is wrong with me, I'm not going to allow you to project that shit onto me. Because your woman doesn't look like me or doesn't present herself in a sexy way, so you don't know how to deal with a woman that does. I'm not going to allow you to project that shit onto me. I'm not going to allow women who hide themselves because they're afraid of men and society and what other women are going to say. I'm not going to allow people to make me feel. I did that already. I'm not going to allow that. And so I make people feel extremely uncomfortable. And I hit them in places that I know is really going to affect them. So I always talk about men being powerless and poor. You can't say shit to me. I treat poor and average men the same way society treats them. Like they don't matter. You're a fucking cog in the wheel of capitalism. Right? A lot of women would never don't get the attention I get. Right? So I remind people of certain things. There's no playing fair. You tried to destroy me verbally, or however you tried to do it, spiritually, emotionally. And so when I come back to you, you don't get to say, oh, wait a minute, that's not nice. No, you should have never said nothing. That's how I operate. Because it was either me learning how to stand in my authority, right? And take what comes with that and learn how to still protect myself or not be myself. It was either or, and I wasn't going to not be myself. Even when I was myself unapologetically and wasn't comfortable with it, I still did it. Right? I see women my age, women that I've been around for the last however many years, and they've deteriorated because they allow society to tell them they shouldn't look a certain way or shouldn't do certain things. This is why women, they always show you pictures of them when they were younger, because that's when they were hot and spicy. You get older now, it's like, oh, I don't even give a fuck no more. I didn't allow society to do that to me. I didn't allow men to do that to me. Especially no motherfucking average ass man that, for many of them, if it weren't for proximity, they wouldn't even be able to speak to me. See, I remind people of stuff like that. Because never forget, people will try to destroy you and not think twice about it. But they'll think twice about it when you return the favor. Right? So learning how to operate in this world while being authentic and having to assert yourself and check people and correct people when it's necessary. That's balance. Not being overly nice. I don't fucking owe anybody spare their feelings or make them comfortable. Or being a bitch. I'm not a bitch. But people equate women asserting themselves with being a bitch because people expect for you to be a fucking doormat and to be open and welcome and to take on the womanly feminine roles of being a slave and a servant and nice and making men feel comfortable. Why the fuck would I make men feel comfortable that I make more than? Why the fuck would I make men comfortable? You got a woman at home. That's what your woman is for. I'm not your fucking escape from home. Right? But I can be polite and nice and all of the things. But control yourselves. And that's where women have to disconnect. They don't know how to remind people to control themselves.